Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it, but I know the score, and you're killing.
Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my How I Read series. I'm going to tell you guys about what my ratings mean. So I know some people do like half stars, but since Goodreads only allows you to do full stars, I try to stick to full stars. So I'll be talking about 5-star books, 4-star books, 3-star books, 2-star books, and 1-star books. He was just so cute. Had to have him join in the fun. Say hello. Oh. Go ahead. You hanging out? Yeah. First we'll talk about 5-star ratings. So when I rate a book 5 stars, it basically means I was screaming, crying, or otherwise freaking out about said book and immediately telling everyone in the vicinity how incredible it was. Usually a 5-star book for me means I have a very visceral, physical, emotional reaction to this book. And the example that I have here for you is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Now, I basically read the entire second half of this book on my couch one Saturday morning, and all my housemates were asleep, but I was gasping and sobbing and making quite a bit of noise on our couch reading this book. And then when I finished, I proceeded to go wake my roommates up and tell them how amazing it was. So there's an example of a 5-star read for you. If you'd be interested in seeing more of my 5-star reads, I could make a video about my 5-star reads and just kind of like list them all for you. If that would be something you want to see, let me know down in the comments. 4-star books. So a 4-star book is something that I really enjoyed, and I would say I loved, but I didn't have that like visceral reaction to it. So those are books that I would like really recommend to other people, but that aren't like my personal all-time favorites. So for that, my example is The Crane Wife by Patrick Ness. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really good, and I think if I read it again, I might enjoy it even more because it's kind of a lot to wrap your head around. So if I reread it, I might end up giving it 5 stars. But I would highly recommend this to anyone who's interested in reading it because it was definitely really good. 3-star books. So any book that I rate 3 stars was just okay. It was like meh, maybe it was like really hyped and I was disappointed by it. That would probably be a 3-star book. Anything that I read and was like, this was just fine. Like I didn't hate reading it, but I didn't love it. It was just okay. And my book example for this is probably going to be a very unpopular opinion because I chose All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. And a lot of people adore this book. Ha ha ha. Anthony Doerr, adore. Okay. A lot of people love this book and have given it 5 stars on Goodreads, but I just couldn't get into it. It was just too long for me, and the switching between the different perspectives didn't happen often enough, so by the time we got back to a perspective, I just didn't care about them anymore. So I think that if the perspective sections had been shorter and there was a little bit quicker, then I would have cared a whole lot more about the characters. I don't know, if you share thoughts with me or if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments so we can talk about it. 2-star books. 2-star books are books that I just didn't like, that were bad for whatever reason. Maybe I found them boring, maybe I found them to be poorly written, but the example I chose for that might also be a little controversial, but that's Looking for Alaska by John Green. The only John Green book that I genuinely like is The Fault in Our Stars, and even that I'm like almost ashamed that I like it because his stories seem very superficial to me and they're all exactly the same. The writing I don't like very much either. I just got bored of this and I didn't find the characters interesting. It's like once you've read one John Green book, you've read them all. Some other examples of a 2-star book for me would be something like Just One Day by Gail Forman, because I had some serious issues with that book and I thought that there was some really like poor writing and some poor choices made in that book, but it wasn't a 1-star book, which I'll explain in a minute. 1-star books. So 1-star books are books that I truly hated, that like I either had a really visceral reaction to the material in it. If it's just something I disagree with, that usually doesn't get a 1-star. It has to be something that I think is like offensive and like offensively badly written too. And it's not always something that's like offensive, because the example I have for you here is definitely not offensive at all. I just hated this book. And I chose to show you this particular book because it's the only book that's 1-star that I own a copy of, and that is All Standing. And this is a book about Irish immigration during the potato famine, and I had to read this for a class, and I just absolutely hated this book. The writing was just really awful, and I could not. Every time I sat down to read this, I was like, why? And we read some other books in that class that I didn't hate. It was just this one. There's gotta be something better out there talking about the Irish potato famine and Irish immigration. So just find that, don't read this one. Some other examples of 1-star books are The Shack. I hated that book because I really didn't like the way that it dealt with grief. I don't even want to get into it, but I hated that, the way it dealt with grief. I hated All the Bright Places, the way it dealt with depression and suicide. I thought was really, really problematic, and it was poorly written. And I haven't read all of 50 Shades of Grey. I've only read like the first chapter, but the writing is so terrible. I don't understand. Like, even if you want to read something of that genre, pick something that's written well. Like, oh, I could not even get through. I was like laughing through the first chapter. And that is a 1-star book. That is a 1-star book because the writing absolutely sucks. So, I do not want to do a video about 1-star reads because I will just get angry and offend a lot of people. So I hope that gives you kind of a broad look at how I rate books. If you're interested in hearing more about 5-star and 4-star reads, because I like to talk about the books I enjoy rather than the ones that I hated, then I would be really happy to do a video about those. So I really hope that this video has not put you to sleep, and I hope that you enjoyed it to some degree. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Bye!